This hangout is on the air. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever the case may be. In this bright, wonderful world we call home, it is the Aloha Hour. Post-marathon Aloha Hour. I am your humble servant, Mike S. Miller, here to guide and delight you with verbiage and blathering. And once again with me, my demure, eloquent, and bass-toned friend, Edwin Boyette.
Aloha, as always.
I should come up with stuff before the fact. I was trying to come up with something at the last possible second. Sorry, Edwin, say aloha again. I cut you off.
Aloha. As always, it's a pleasure to be here with you and with our wonderful chat.
And the noisy cheering. My wife's actually in the room watching the TVs. So I can't believe it's not butter. I can't believe we're going to have people in here after a 7-hour long just nonstop. It was fun. It was fun. I mean, there were moments, but I was just drawing, and it's like, what the heck? I'm just drawing. So, drawing, chatting, talking stuff about stuff.
P Money says, Miller and Edwin, which is the master and which is the apprentice? I am the fist of the West Star. Mike is the fist of the East Star.
So Lone Star, Heart of the Hero, is at $82,749. I am $251 away from 83. So not too shabby. Now if I could just get that money in my bank account, life would be good. Boy, I don't think anyone else has had this much trouble getting their money into their accounts. It's getting irritating.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks like a nice number. It's just but it's just a number till it shows up in the bank account, huh?
That's right. It's like in Hollywood. I don't believe anything until the check's in the bank, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is. I can survive until I mean, it's 3 to 5 days, and then of course we have the wonderful is it Labor Day?
Labor Day is on Monday.
Yeah, so one extra day. It has to land on that day. Oh well.
Checks in the mail, Miller. Checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail. That's what I have to tell people who are bugging me. So it all flows downstream. How's your life going, Edwin?
Good. Today was streaming insanity.
Yeah, what happened to your computer? Just shut down?
I just had so much stuff loaded up for so long. Chrome is kind of funny like that, where you keep opening tabs up. After a while, it just it doesn't release the memory, right? And
it doesn't want to play anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't want to play anymore. And this is not like a gaming laptop, but we just bought it this year, so it's it's just a side effect to having all these crazy tabs open for the stream.
Yeah, mine died. I don't know if anybody even noticed that I was gone, but my Chrome just completely locked up. So I shut it down and restarted it and I came back in the stream. I don't think anybody even noticed I was gone.
Well, I know John Malin was running the stream for a while, and yeah.
John does well on my stream. No, he does well on his own stream. I listen.
Well, no, he does. I was just thinking. Maybe you should take some pointers from him when you're a guest on somebody's stream. Maybe you shouldn't eviscerate their self-confidence. Though I can't say much after our review of Injustice 2 the other day. Oh, no.
Right.
Yeah. That's stones and glass houses.
Too funny. All right, let me get my YouTube up here on my iPad. Which, come on now, straighten up, fly right. Not now. YouTube's. Close this. Come on, close. Why is YouTube not wanting to work properly?
Was Cecil Robbie last night? When was he on that Umbrella Guys? Was that last night?
Jeez, was it? I think it was. Yeah.
I feel like I'm either working or streaming these days. I need to take like a day off and catch up with like projects because there's so many projects I want to cover.
Yeah.
And
well, my day off's tomorrow.
New people keep pouring into Comicsgate too, so it's kind of amazing.
Well, the more they complain, they the opposition party is they're getting their soldiers in line, but what's happening is that they're giving us press, which means that they are not off the hinges and are willing to see what this is about, actually see what we're actually about, and will join us.
Oh, that makes me think. you know that Richard Selner cat I was talking about, right?
Chuck.
Yeah. Why don't him and Paceman? They're interchangeable. They're interchangeable old curmudgeons. Anyway, Selner just bought.
Chuck is a terrible person.
Selner bought a web domain called This Is Comicsgate, and he's getting ready to put together.
That or something?
Say again.
Did he tweet that?
Yeah.
How did
say again?
This is Comicsgate. This is Comicsgate. That's what.
Yeah. I don't know if he's built it out or not. Hang on a second. Let me pull this up. But I think he was. I think he and Not Famous were talking about it, and they're going to make it like a. So they're going to take all these quotes that they've picked from people. They're going to put it.
They're going to cherry pick.
Yeah.
They're going to use quotes from Richard from 8, 9, 10 months ago or something like that. And then they're just going to.
Or just stuff out of context. That's real easy.
Well, I mean, what he said, there's no context where that could be a good thing.
Oh, you're talking about the dark roast thing?
Right. But
yeah.
I'm not going to say it on the Aloha Hour.
Yeah. Let's not do that. That would not be good.
Yeah, Dynamo makes a point that I've made myself. At what point is Ike Perlmutter going to notice that something is wrong with his company? Please, could someone call Trump and tell him to tell Ike, your crew driving the Titanic directly into the iceberg.
So how would we get word to Ike Perlmutter? Who is in his circle?
The only one I know is Donald Trump. That's a little harder to get to him, I think. I don't know. I have no idea. If I only knew.
See, I'm trying to remember what Selner's tweet is, his Twitter handle. Here we go. See Edward Selner. It looks like a low budget John Lovitz. I can say this as an unhandsome man. I don't feel that bad about commenting on his appearance.
He goes by C. Edward instead of Chuck. Probably because every time I talk to him on the phone, I'd always say, "What's up, Chuck?" He gets kind of mad at that still. Yeah, Edwin is from North Carolina.
I am
So
from
he's
North
kind of
Carolina.
lost. He's kind of mishmashed his accent along the way. Where else did you live?
Well, I was in the United States Army for 8 years, and so around like a lot of different accents. And then I've been in Hawaii. Um, well, Selner
North
loves
Carolina.
me,
Yeah,
man. Selner loves me. I'm kind of like on a different little account here, and
Summer is
just Selner.
obsessed. Yeah.
Holy crap! He needs to send me some flowers or something if we're going to be dating.
You don't flowers. You
Let's
don't
see.
sing your songs.
Can I say sweet tea? All right, Dennis Perrich. I can sing
Sweet tea.
sweet tea. Sweet tea.
Carolina. Hi, honey. Can I get some sweet tea?
Now, there are people in North Carolina that talk like this, real nasal, but that's not
Yep.
everybody. Like if you ever hear my
Well,
brother talk, he's got a
that's
little bit more of an accent, but it's not that strong.
yeah. My Will Calligan and Randy Green are the two people who are native North Carolinians. And they both talk like that. It's like I'm right around the corner from Mayberry.
Let's see. Pete Mack
That's what
says,
I think.
Ed, you still sound like a Carolinian.
Sure.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Raven Eye Reviews, North Carolina here. Very good.
North Carolina. Yeah, my grandparents lived in North Carolina. I think it was Bragg. Fort Bragg's in North Carolina, right?
It sure is. That's the
Yeah.
82nd Airborne.
That's where I was. That's where I was. My grandfather was a lieutenant colonel, and he took me out there when I visited, like in third grade or something like that. So, Mark is terrible at accents.
Man. Yeah, so I guess they're putting together some kind of page for This Is Comicsgate.
Yes, this is obsession
This is obsession.
for soy men. I don't know why he's so obsessed. I mean, does he not have anything to do?
I went at him hard a couple times because he was talking about this stuff in such a way it just bothered me because it was a pseudo intellectual, pseudo academic thing, and he was trying to make himself look like a non-interested, a non-involved party, right? And it just bothered me because it was so dishonest, and he was using a little bit of psychobabble and a little bit of academic jargon to try and inflate himself. And so he's got like
That's
all
how
those. They used some of the Victor stuff for propaganda. I wish it, in retrospect, I wish I had just had Victor on my own channel. I didn't think, I thought it was going to be like a discussion, and he came in wanting to perform. I still tell you that's my theory, right? That he doesn't particularly care, I think, one way or another. I think he just wanted to perform.
I don't know what he wanted. What he did not want to do was discuss anything.
Yeah. But I did look at it, and I did overtalk him a couple times. Yeah. Which.
Yeah, a bit. And that is why I stepped in, because you were getting into minutia. I wasn't just talking about him getting into minutia.
Oh,
the
no,
minutia
I picked up
was
on
thick.
it. Yeah.
And I'm like, let's get to a point, a broader point, because you can do that all night long.
Yeah. No,
you
it's
can
boring.
down
It's so boring. It's so boring.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, He was trolling. He was a troll. He was a. I don't know.
But what I did the next day is I talked to him all day. I talked to him all day, and he called me all kinds of horrible names, but I would just keep talking to him so he could get his point across and get a chance to perform. So I feel like I gave him his chance to perform.
Hey, this is funny. So we're not getting to the topic yet, but Dynamo mentions a terrified CB, Cebulski, I assume, gave a statement about backing away from politics yesterday and got immediately attacked by IO9.
Oh, interesting. Now I've got.
Do you happen to have that?
I've got the
handy?
Mary Sue article open. I don't have the IO9 thing up. You want me to find the IO9?
Well, let's see what he said. Yes, I know it's been discussed before, but I don't think I've gotten a clear picture of what he said. So for
Sure.
my benefit and the benefit of the other ignoramuses in the crowd.
Yeah, let's see, share this application window and share Magoo.
Dynamo, check if you can find it, and then tell us what website it's on, so that we can find it. Oh, you want me to? Here we go. The Mercy.
Yeah. Good Lord, their icon is Rimphamus. How did that happen?
Hey, we don't say that name here.
Oh, okay. Not famous. I think she's just performing herself, to be honest.
Well, you know, these people are desperate for attention, so that's what they do.
Yeah. Marvel's editor-in-chief says comics shouldn't get too political. Since when? Since when? Ignoring the company's legacy. Dude, have you
That's the funny part.
Dude, have you ever read one of your own comics? By Chelsea Steiner. Marvel editor-in-chief was questioned about the political nature of comics during a Q&A panel at Terrificon in Connecticut. That question is nearly old as the art form itself. Should comics be political, and if so, to what degree? When an audience member asked Cebulski about the message, political or not, what comic should be sending to readers, Cebulski replied, Marvel always has been, as Stan Lee always said, the world outside our window. Okay, buddy. It's the reflection of the modern times that we live in. Marvel has never shied away from that around what happened with 9/11 or what we were doing with Secret Empire. Cebulski continued by saying, one of the things I want to make sure is when we do tell these stories, I don't know how to put this in the right way. They still have to be entertainment. If we want to see the real world, we can turn on CNN, we can turn on the TV, we can pick up a newspaper. Can you really see the real world on CNN? Anyway, as we turn on the TV, we can pick up a newspaper and see what's going on there. And yes, it's our responsibility as a comic book publisher, especially Marvel, given the history that we have to reflect those times. But they still have to be fun. We can't get too deep into the politics, and the characters can take sides, choose sides, turn evil, turn back to good, but they still have to entertain.
Okay, let's stop here. There's people in the chat saying he's full of crap. Is he full of crap, or does he believe this and is just too weak-willed to control the people under him? I think that's the question, because I don't think an honest-to-God SJW could even get those words out of his mouth. Am I right or am I wrong?
Is he too weak-willed, or does he? You know, I've not seen him comment on politics a lot, and he's kind of weird in that they came at him for his pen name, yeah, because he got a job at Marvel. He represented himself as a Japanese person, as a Japanese writer.
I forgive him.
But I think it cost him something. I think I think they could have hung that over his head because he was coming in like he was going to change something, and What's changed? I mean, it's not even rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. If anything, it seems like it's accelerated. And maybe
Half
that's
Mad
just a
says, I vote B, that he's too weak-willed. Cebulski knows what he sells. He just doesn't want to rock the boat he's in.
rock the boat, don't rock the boat, CB. Rock the boat, don't rock the boat, CB. It could be true. Yeah,
It could be true.
I kind of think that. I kind of think that, and I kind of think that I kind of think that
I always, I know it may be wrong in a lot of cases, but I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt. So if this guy's willing to even voice that opinion, I'm gonna have to at least assume he means it in part, at least, because I mean, could you imagine like Bill Sienkiewicz or Tom Taylor or somebody saying something like that? Right? There's no way that would come out of their mouths.
Yeah.
But it came out of his mouth in public, in a public forum. You know? So
you remember when I was making fun about the breaking news, though? His last tweet was about a quinoa salad. And so maybe the joke that Zach makes is true. And any dynamo says this here in chat. Zach thinks that Sana Amanat is actually in charge, and and Mr. Oh no, and he says and Fatso is focused on food blogging.
Just cut the checks. Just cut the check and do as you're told. Holy goat, no, I finished a 7-hour live stream. But I was just working, so it's, you know, I was just like working and being on the phone.
Were you able to get a good amount done today?
I got that page done.
Nice. All right. How many left to go? What's the count?
15.
15 left to go.
We're still locked on here. Why don't we finish this article up? Because I don't want to be on here for hours.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. This feels like the cop out to end all cop outs. First, it ignores the illustrious political history of comics, like Captain America's origin. Cap was the brainchild of two Jewish creators, Joe Simon and Jack Kirby, who created Captain America as a direct response to the rise of Nazism in Germany. Cap's first comic appearance features him punching Nazis in the face. Excuse me. It doesn't get much more political than that. That should tell you something right there.
Stop the press. I hate that lie. When you are talking about a foreign aggressor, a foreign enemy, you're not talking about politics anymore. You're talking about like war and global, well, maybe global politics. But we're not talking about Democrats fighting Republicans. We're not talking about taking the president of the United States, the president of us all, and turning him into some vile, villainous, malevolent being for the sake of pressing your anti-Trump, politics. That's politics, right? If you do something against Stalin during World War II, or not Stalin, he was an ally. But against Hitler, that's not politics. That is war. That is the United States, the United people of the United States. Everyone would back that, except for the crazy ass, supporters of Hitler. And there were American supporters of Hitler.
There were.
But yeah. No, so I don't buy that. I hate that argument. I'm so sick of it. Go on.
All right, so this hurts my head. I'm going to say this here quickly. And what about the X-Men whose legacy of mutant ostracism and persecution is applicable to literally any marginalized group, from immigrants to POC to the LGBTQIA+ community.
That always cracks me up.
That is
Yeah, that is metaphor. That's fine. The persecution, use it as a metaphor. But what did they do in that last issue of X-Men Red where they like it was just this connotation to like, oh, you're being lied to, and if you believe all this hate and stuff, it's like, dude, can you be any more blatantly obvious what you're talking about? What's up, John?
Aloha.
Hey,
Aloha.
Melon, help me out here. Help me out here. Because can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So, all right, from immigrants to POC to the LGBTQIA+ community.
I just call them LGB for short.
What is the I in the A?
The plus is fat chicks, right?
I do not know. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna say the I is intersectional, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just call them LGB for short. So sometimes I get called a bigot for that, but I don't have time for the alphabet game on this stuff. I think a lot of things that go on is it's just all speech. It's all speech control, and it's all about domination. And we're gonna make you say every last letter of this stupid thing. I don't have time for that. LGB.
But
Almighty Jackson, intersex and asexual. Asexual, I know. What the heck?
Like hermaphrodite? Is that like a hermaphrodite?
Oh, I don't know.
No idea.
I am not a professor of whatever stuff they're coming up with.
Man of Action says I is for Iceman.
Existing or occurring between the sexes. My wife is showing me referring to or having the condition of being intermediate between male and female. Is that like Zoe? What does that mean? Because Zoe is somewhere in between. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Zoe Quinn, is that her deal? She doesn't identify as a male or female?
I don't know.
I think he was saying soy. Are you saying soy or Zoe?
Oh, I was saying Zoe. Like a soy boy would be somewhere between a male and a female.
What kind of accent? What kind of accent is that, Edwin?
What, my accent?
Soy.
Soy.
Nice. Just soy.
So how are lesbians and asexuals a community? What are their points of commonality? Never mind.
I think the whole thing. I think the whole thing is just these deep dive discussions into these. It's just it's all ridiculous.
Drake Harris says that intersex is hermaphrodite, and let's just move on from this.
Yeah, sorry, it was just breaking my brain. The very foundations of the X-Men are inextricably linked with the political, and isn't that what makes them so powerful? Is it so relatable?
You can create a metaphor that anyone who has felt downtrodden can relate to. That's great, right? Because it's so open that it allows any number of people to associate with them. But that's not being political per se. That's a human condition. There are downtrodden people. You're not labeling out one particular section of humanity and saying, hey, this is what this comic book is about, get on board or you're a hater and a bigot.
The political underpinnings of these characters aren't a negative. They're a touch point of recognition and reflection. This also gets to the larger question of what is and isn't political, where the word can be twisted and misappropriated. In this context, political feels like a dog whistle for liberalism and diversity, as it has so often been used lately, with those saying it believing anything that aligns with their own personal beliefs to be neutral, while everything else is political. It's about the appearance of neutrality, which only serves to uphold a lopsided status quo by veering away from the political. Marvel is not coming down on one side or the other, so it can remain pleasing to readers across the political spectrum. Since when? Since when?
Holy cow!
Did they fire half of Marvel this weekend and nobody told us?
You don't understand. You don't understand. This is what the problem is. You ever meet somebody who's liberal or left wing, but they consider themselves moderate?
Yeah.
Right? You meet these people all the time because the media and entertainment is so inundated with left-wing ideology. They're fish that don't know that they're wet. They're just so seeped in it. They just think, well, this must be the middle position. So this writer is obviously of the same mindset.
Right.
And so they think that here I am. You have to be Stalin killing 100 million people in order to be to the left of, that's what real leftism is. And then everyone on this side is a conservative whack job. So, yeah.
All right. Perhaps that
Lord
would.
Asperman for $5. X-Men literally represents everyone because everyone feels outcast at some point in their lives. I don't consider them political. That is the point, Lord Asperman. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see. Perhaps this wouldn't be so upsetting if the country were not in the midst of a political crisis. Are we? Where the president says that white supremacy. Let's see. Where the president says that white supremacist rallies have good people on both sides, and Nazi rhetoric is being rebranded as alt-right or alt-light or white nationalism. And maybe it would be less upsetting if it came from an editor who hadn't been caught impersonating someone of another race to further his career with the company that eventually promoted him to this position of power.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, I don't know if he was doing it to further his career, but I think that the CB Sobalski, Akira Yoshida thing, there's actually a guy who goes kind of into detail on that. It's called The Names Have Been Changed, I believe. And he was working at Marvel during that time. And if you go by what he was saying is CB Sobalski, along with Tom Brevoort, it's a little audio thing called The Names Have Been Changed. According to this, CB Sobalski and Tom Brevoort and a handful of other editors at Marvel in the early 2000s, around the time he was doing the Akira Yoshida, first of all, CB Sobalski was the talent coordinator, and he was funneling jobs to himself. So people who were trying to get in as writers were actually competing against the very guy whose job it was to seek them out. And according to this, Tom Brevoort, CB Sobalski were part of a group of editors that were about to do a coup on Marvel Comics, and they were going to grab some of the top talents at Marvel and start farming these people out to DC Comics. So they were actually planning to work against what was going the people at Marvel Comics. But for whatever happened during that time, I don't know. Maybe it was when Joe Quesada got put in as EIC. Maybe they decided that they were safer just sticking to where they were at. And but if all that is true, I think there are much larger questions other than the supposed yellow phase of the whether or not they were actually committing some form of fraud against the company. And it was definitely some ethical issues going on in terms of what CB Sobalski, if these allegations are true, was what he and other editors at the time were doing at Marvel Comics.
Let's see, I'm looking at the IO9 article.
How'd you find it?
It looks like the same thing.
Is it?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. It's just a repeat of the same.
All right. Well, I don't want to beat this story into the ground. I think he's just a weak man who can't stand up and enforce the position that he's been put in. So
Oh, we got to tell Malin about the other thing. Malin, you know Chuck Selner.
Oh yeah, I just started hearing about this guy.
So him and Not Famous were talking. Apparently, he has bought a domain called thisiscomicsgate.com.
Mhm.
And so they're going to make it a clearinghouse. They're going to make it a clearinghouse for they're going to make it a clearinghouse for anti-Comicsgate information.
Mhm. Yeah, he's ridiculous. This guy, I just saw a tweet where he pretty much encourages the chastisement of the white race. So this guy can go get bent. And I have more colorful words, but out of respect for Mike.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. So yeah,
He's a backhole.
yeah, he's a very weak human being who feels that white people deserve
Yes.
to be beaten down for some reason. And yeah, I have nothing for this guy. I've never even heard of him. So is he a writer?
I think he did some minor
He wishes it
something.
was.
I think he did some minor something, and he's been kind of hanging about forever. I put him on block, though. I put him on block because I noticed after a while the only time he was getting any action was when I was talking to him. So I was creating his content for him. If I wasn't talking
Yeah,
to
if you
him,
go to his Twitter page, it's all comments about me and Edwin. He's a little obsessed.
Yeah,
and he doesn't have anything else to do.
We need
Obviously,
to be careful about. We need to be careful about who we give platforms to, and who gets celebrity status from engagements from our own community. So all I say to everybody else is choose your battles wisely. If this guy is a nobody, then let's keep him a nobody. Let's not do them favors because that website gets no traction if we're not out there promoting it.
yeah. And let me say something, because you were mentioning something about Selner, and everything is going to get taken out of context all the time. In Comicsgate, people of all races, all ethnicities, all languages, all religions, all orientations, sexes, and genders have value, right? You have value. We're not interested in white nationalism. We're not interested in ethnic nationalism. We're not interested in white supremacy, racism, or any of these things. All these things are abhorrent, right? Most of us are Americans. Most of us are Americans. And Americans can come in all different colors, creeds, religions, races, all these different things. And all this is fine. All that matters is that you have goodwill, right? You have goodwill, particularly in talking about more specifically in Comicsgate, that you love comics. And you understand that there's been a problem in comics because stories and characters have been subverted and subordinated to political propaganda, right? And stories, there can be stories that are entertaining for all people. There can be. Comic books are not first and foremost supposed to be political propaganda for anybody's party. Not yours, not mine, not the right or the left. They should be entertaining stories of heroism, tragedy, sorrow, sacrifice, and fun, right? First and foremost, fun, executed with care and skill. But all these immutable characteristics, your race, your ethnicity, none of these things matter. None of these things matter in the context that we should all be able to come together as Americans, as comics fans, as consumers, and we should be able to have these points of commonality together, right? And so if anybody tells you that Comicsgate is trying to support racism, bigotry, homophobia, misogyny, any of these things, white supremacy, it's a lie. It's a falsehood. They're trying to sell you a bill of goods, and they're trying to manipulate you rather than allow you to think for yourself and come in here and interact and engage with some wonderful people. Bottom line. Sorry for the spiel. I just want to make it clear night after night what we're about and what we're not about.
Yeah. So, yeah, everybody's welcome. And everybody, my whole point of view on everything is, look, I want us all to stand against racism, sexism, and all forms of discrimination. But that goes all around the board. So if we all stand against racism, that includes racism against white people. Sexism, that includes sexism against men. This is how I feel. If we want equality, then we have to be rooting for everybody and make sure it's fair for everybody. And everything has to be merit based. And it's the only thing that matters to me is what you are able to do, what your talents are, and what your character is.
I would not welcome everyone. I would not welcome cultural Marxists or any Marxists.
No, because it's the mind virus. And these are the people that are making people crazy, John. These are the people that are making people crazy because they preach hate your neighbor and they preach separate out on all these particular characteristics. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they want to break us up into little warring factions so that they can control us. And I just want us all to be one big happy family, no matter what you think or believe other than that.
Yeah.
Yes, I will agree.
Yeah. Let's do the Luke joins the dark side story.
Luke joins the dark side. All right, let me pull that bad boy.
This is going to be a really quick story, but it's just, it is what it is.
All right, going back to the dun 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 dun. Let's see. Mark Hamill and Preet Bharara use the force for Twitter takedown of Donald Trump. Oh, is he not the president anymore? Actor Mark Hamill gave former U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara some free Jedi training in the art of trolling President Donald Trump on Twitter. The unexpected lesson began Sunday with this post from Bharara, who Trump fired from his role as U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York in 2017. And so, let's see, on the 25th, he said, nobody wants to hear from Donald Trump today. Well, that's not true. Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars franchise, responded with some advice. You should pin this tweet until he leaves office. Oh, so much Bharara took heat on Friday and applied with his Star Wars themed zing directed at the president. Yes, Jedi, powerful he has become. The dark side I sense in him.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is a bad story.
Bharara also followed Hamill's advice in the tweet. Yes, Jedi. Yes, Jedi. Powerful he has become. The dark side I sense in him. Needless to say, Hamill was delighted. Forceful reinforcement in this sweet tweet. Much appreciated, Preet Bharara. Hamill is no stranger to taunting Trump on social media. Most recently, he gave the commander-in-chief some drama school advice. In drama school, we were warned, when an actor concentrates and obsesses on his review, his performance is sure to suffer immeasurably. Hashtag,
well, Donald Trump's not an actor.
Hashtag enema of the people. Celebrity is corrosive.
Yeah.
It really
corrodes his mind. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I wish Luke would stay out of these things, but whatever. What can you do?
People really hate the new Star Wars films.
Yeah. Yeah, well, none of this is working well for Disney.
I'm glad Luke is dead, says James S.
Oh, yep.
Aren't they bringing him back for the next one?
I'm sure they are. He's got to force ghost his way into it.
Yeah.
Of course. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they'll make it so that somehow or another he learned how to do that. I just remember that in the prequels, one of the few things I remember about the prequels, because I try not to remember those at all, is that Yoda said that Qui-Gon Jinn had like been practicing or learned how to project himself as a Force ghost or something. Remember that?
I'll have to look that up. Is that even canon anymore? Because
yeah, that's canon. That's canon.
Well, what happens if
Episode
Luke is able to rematerialize his body and come back to life? Kind of like what are the Darth Plagueis cheated death?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Darth Plagueis.
Darth Plagueis.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, that story was sort of weak. I just it was just irritating to me. I'm so sick of everyone having to bring politics into everything.
Yeah, we love
everything.
Luke
it's every day.
We love Luke so much it hurts to even talk about it.
Yeah, because when we were kids, because we're all about the same age, when we were kids, I mean, Luke Skywalker was this heroic figure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now he's just a big old douche.
Yeah, and Return of the Jedi, he doesn't even show up. He never gets off his planet. He just dies kind of like, I mean, yeah, I guess he does that cool little trick where he projects his image across the universe, and that's cool, but that means he never really leaves his little hermitage.
No. Arc. I know I'm at odds with most of the fandom menace with this. I liked Luke's arc in that story. I felt he had like the hero's journey that was missing. It's like he had this arc where, gosh, I'm probably just going to piss off a bunch of people by saying I liked it. But I did, because he had this setup where, he had everything he'd worked for in the first 3 films, and in the between, right, rebuilding the Jedi as a school. This, I can't remember what it was called, the school. The Jedi. I read the books, so. And
yeah,
everything done, and he freaking he makes one stupid mistake out of emotion, out of fear, and it costs him everything. So I can understand. I'm acquainted with grief, and I can understand that people change when they suffer that level of grief,
Yeah.
And so saying that, well, Luke wouldn't have done that. Luke wouldn't have done that. I'm like, dude, you don't know what anyone would do in that kind of a circumstance.
In terms of attempting to murder his own nephew because he sensed the dark side in him. I mean, he went to great lengths to save his father.
Yeah, I didn't say it was good writing. I said I understand it in terms of the story.
Yeah, it's a terrible story.
I don't like the deterministic aspects in Star Wars, in this modern Star Wars thing, right? Because it's very deterministic, right? Because Kylo Ren is born with some sort of defect, and so because of the vagaries of the Force, he's completely has no choice but to become a focal point for the dark side. It's all very deterministic, and it's kind of gross. It's
a huge mess, and J.J. Abrams is going to have to do so much fan service in order to rescue this franchise. Rey is going to be shown to be some form of a clone of possibly Luke or Obi-Wan. I mean, they have to link in. There's no other way about it. If they don't give her some kind of special heritage at this point, people are there's no way they're going to be filling the seats like they expected when they first bought the franchise. And let's see. The last movie was just so freaking terrible. They everything, even Luke throwing his lightsaber. Holy crap! How do you bring back that? How do you repair that?
I think
got a couple super chats, Miller.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Raven Eye reviews for $2. Fire Kathy and retcon it to Peter Jackson. And then there was one more. Red Racks for $2. Kylo had a spooky dream, so he had to go. Was somebody moving furniture in Kylo's spooky dream? That was Kelsey Shannon's ghost story with the furniture moving ghost.
I think the Star Wars movies are suffering from the same thing that comic books have suffered for too long. These recent Star Wars movies is because they've slapped them on a schedule. You know, it's like we want a Star Wars movie every year, and then you grab a director, you grab a writer, and you say, you know, just come up with something production in 6 months. So, I mean, I know there's movie scripts that take 2 years to develop because there's so much rewriting to do, and like I say in comics, it's like it's on the schedule, it's got to get written, you know, fill time, and so you, rather than getting something that is done out of inspiration and out of passion and out of a lot of thinking and rethinking and crafting, you get stuff that is pumped out on a cookie cutter schedule.
Mm.
Well, I think it comes a lot more in the same comparison between Star Wars films and Marvel is I think a lot of the people in charge of these companies, they just hate the fans. They see everybody as basement dwellers. They think it's better to just piss people off instead of doing the hard work, because it's easy to piss people off. But the hard work is to do something really great and excite everybody about every aspect of a film. And that's where they should be going. But they take the easy road. And the easy road is say, how do we piss off the fans? And that's what happened with whatever the last one was, The Last Jedi or whatever that was. I don't know what it was called.
I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if they were just trying. Why would they try to piss off the fans?
Because they don't know how to be creative. They don't know how to
I know,
make things that people like.
Trying. That's like I said, it's a lack of inspiration. It's a lack of time to craft your skill.
And they have all the time in the world.
I know everyone hates Rian Johnson, but the first 2 films Rian Johnson did, I freaking love. Brick and The Brothers Bloom. I love those movies. Looper was, you know, it was good. It wasn't great.
Yeah, fantastic franchises.
I'm not talking about franchise. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They're great films, right? They're very smartly and very well written. I had extremely high hopes for this because of that. And I think if he had been given 3 years to come up with a story, but that's what I'm saying. You're like, this thing has to be in pre-production in 6 months. It's got to be in production in a year. It's got to be in post-production in 18 months. Dude, that's the writing is freaking.
Movies have been thought out. These movies have been thought out since the 1970s. There's an abundance of information out there. And look, I mean, when you're dealing with a project like this, even look at like how James Cameron does. You know, he didn't just shit out the next Avatar. You know, I'm not saying it's going to be great or bad, but this, well, they're on a schedule and they have to rush. That's bullshit. I could have came up with a better idea in about, I don't know, give me a week and pay me $100,000, and I would have gave you the most excellent fan service Star Wars, but still put in some challenging points, some interesting points in there that would have left everybody leaving there feeling thrilled and enjoying it.
Mm. Let's see. This is Mark C for $5.
All right.
Mark C for $5. Fear, anger, aggression. The dark side, or they. This is out of character for Luke, who is a Jedi. It doesn't matter if you understand. He's a Jedi.
Yep.
Yeah, there's not much of one.
One thing I'll tell you, and to me, I see a parallel between what happened with the Star Wars franchise and what Marvel has done. And they think that the existing fandom is done with them, right? The existing fandom is done with them. So they're severing this connection to the past, and they're aiming at a potential audience. But I don't think they necessarily understand who they're aiming at and how to form a connection with them. And I think they underestimated the connection of the existing fan base, right? And so they've severed the people willing to pay them. They've severed the connection with the people willing to pay them for a potential audience. Yeah, and they haven't really brought in the new audience, and they've angered the existing audience. And I think this was done simultaneously at Marvel print comics and in the Star Wars movies. It's kind of interesting that they've made the same mistake in two different mediums.
They hate the
Gojira for it seems like it. It seems like they wanna make entertainment for people who don't want their entertainment, don't like their particular story, or don't like their particular medium. Marvel wants to make comic books for people who don't buy comic books. Gojira for $2. Cameron actually did crap out Avatar.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Well,
I'm
that's
sorry,
why I
sorry,
said
Mike.
crap. Yeah, that's why I said crap. Edwin's smooth face angers this audience.
Everyone's disagreeing with me in the chat. That's fine. I still think it. I still think it was a matter of scheduling. I mean, someone said that Rian used his first draft. I think that's a freaking rookie mistake. But I really think just jamming this stuff out as fast as they're doing it, instead of letting it be crafted over. I mean, Lucas and Kasdan didn't freaking just squirt out Empire Strikes Back after Star Wars was done, right? They weren't like, oh gosh, we have to have this out next month or next year, so we need our final draft of the movie within 6 months. It's like, dude, screenwriters, I mean, not all of them. Some of them can write quite fast, but most screenwriters take a year to 2 years to write a solid script. And it may seem crazy, because certainly comics don't take that long. But maybe that's the problem with comics too. People just jam stuff out in their first draft. And dude, I make that complaint all the time. It's like, I worked on cookie cutter comics for 26 years, and I hardly want to go back and read any of them because they're so poorly written. You have to have inspiration. You have to have skill. You have to have the time to craft and recraft, write and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite to get to a good script, because the script is the most vital part of any story. And it's where you saying, well, that movie sucked or the story sucked, it's because of the script.
You have a huge franchise in
I know, but they weren't using, he wasn't going back and using Timothy Zahn's books or Kevin J. Anderson's books. They had to start from freaking scratch because Disney made all that stuff. They uncanonized all that stuff. How long do you think
it would have took for someone to write that last movie, Return of the, or Last Jedi, whatever?
To write it well?
Yeah. Would it have been a slow motion car chase from beginning to end with a stupid side plot, and then the big feminist moment with the use light speed to take out your ship? Are these big beats? Are these the thing of magic? I mean, we only have what, 4 major plot points kind of happening throughout this entire thing. I mean, every last bit of it, every last bit of it says garbage, 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 garbage. I would have saw that draft. I would have thrown it right out and said, what are you doing? I mean, if anything, the episode was it 6, 7, 8 would have been episode like 7.1. That should have been like a TV episode or some kind of Lost Tale episode. It was so garbage from beginning to end. There's nothing good about it. Nothing was good about it.
Let me make 2 points. First, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the Aloha Hour, Professor Geek.
Thank you. Great to be here again.
And the second point I want to make, I suspect you're both right. Malin, some of your ideas about motivation and targeting, I think, are correct, and I think it's compounded by what Mike is saying, the rush schedule. So if you take people who are inept and with the wrong ideas for the wrong audience, and then you make them rush, you're going to take something that's going to be bad and make it even worse, and you wind up with the Last Jedi. What do you think, Professor Geek, about the Last Jedi?
Yeah, well, I was tuning in just for a few minutes there briefly before I clicked the join, just so I could come in not completely cold. But first of all, it's great to meet you, John. This is the first time I think I've ever been on a stream with you, so good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Yeah. In terms of The Last Jedi, the whole Star Wars universe, I think the problem here is that we have Kathleen Kennedy approaching being the executive producer of a shared cinematic universe as though it's the old school, it's the old world when she can just executive produce any old film. And in those days, you didn't really have to be hands-on creatively so much. You just hire people you liked, you got them to come in and do the jobs, and everything was fine. You can't do that anymore. The industry's changed now. With the age of the shared cinematic universe, we need that controlling director controlling agent from higher up to come in and look at that script and look at the script that Rian Johnson wrote for it and say, no, that doesn't match where Abrams already said this was going to go or whatever. There's no oversight. It's just a bunch of people doing a bunch of different things in one room and calling it all the same universe, and it's not. It can't be. It's herding cats, you know. It's so I think that we need oversight from on high to match the current times, if that makes sense.
And for members of our audience, Professor Geek has his own YouTube channel, and he is actually a professor of literature.
I am.
And a geek.
Sketch is saying Mike is right. They should have used Timothy Zahn. Yeah, I really like the Zahn novels.
Yeah.
But I think that's a. I mean, if they're, I don't know why they got rid of all that stuff, honestly. But if they had like Lawrence Kasdan to at least write a framework for the overarching story for the entire trilogy, and then hand that Bible over to the individual writer directors, I think what you're saying, Professor Geek, would have taken better shape.
Yeah.
Look, if you wanted to do a good follow-up to the first one of the J.J. Abrams movie, all you would have had to do was you keep the John Boyega character. If anything, you send him off on a mission with Poe, because these are kind of a likable duo. You maybe even make Boyega.
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah, what? I mean, just like Luke and Han, it was the buddy part, and they would have done very well. But they had to send Boyega off on some weird side quest with this other character.
That's wrong. Luke and Han were adversaries in Star Wars.
Wrong.
Yeah, they were. Luke was, well, I'm a good pilot. And Han's the freaking, he's the alpha dog. And then they were fighting about, or not fighting, but they would argue about pretty much everything. And then even into Empire, where they're fighting over Leia, they had a friendship, but it was an adversarial friendship.
So you're saying Star Wars needs to be...
We call those buddies.
Yeah. It's Indiku and Gilgamesh from the old myths. It's a titan.
Okay. But Finn and Poe were freaking stepbrothers.
They would have been. They would have been
their best friend.
They would have been the pairing, and You know,
So
even with
lethal weapon in space. Lethal
Ray-
weapon in space.
Ray could have been John Boyega's love interest because they had already kind of set up a friendship there too. And for them to just kind of send him off on with this, what are fifth-rate character of Rose Tico at the end, and just kind of cram in some kind of romance out of nowhere at the end of it, it was all ridiculous. And I mean, the plot was just so slow moving too. It wasn't even a movie. Somebody with some kind of sensibility should have stepped in and say, what are you guys doing? You know, the next steps for this movie are really simple. You take what was started here and you finish it. But right from the beginning, the entire thing was agenda driven. It's how do we make people hate Luke? Well, take a lightsaber that he worked so hard and was built up as such a relic in the previous film. Have him throw it over his shoulder for a cheap laugh, have him suck milk out of a baby bottle, and how do we ruin Poe Dameron? Well, let's just make him a loser who misjudges everything from the beginning to the end of this film. And the entire relationship between Rey and Ben Solo or Kylo Ren is just ridiculous. The long distance hang up, my dad's coming in the room kind of type of stuff. I'm just like, what's going on here? I mean, the entire thing is just, it's all garbage from beginning to end. There's no saving this movie. There's nothing good was salvageable from that movie. The entire next movie has to undo everything. So Snoke's got to come back. He has to be shown to be a clone or something, because there has to be some kind of a twist to justify all the bad things they did in this first movie or the second movie.
Yeah, I would agree that it's agenda driven there. I talked about this in a recent video. Ryan Johnson said he wanted to subvert your expectations. What he was trying to subvert was the hero's journey. And this is something that we see a lot of people from an SJW ideology really rally against, because the idea of a hero's journey, the idea of archetypes or anything like that, says that there's something essential to the human experience. There's something essentially good and bad, and there's something within our psyches that we respond to, and they don't like that because everything's socially constructed to them. It fits their political and identity, social, political agendas. So that's what they go for. So the hero's journey represents something that they need to deconstruct. And Rian Johnson was systematically deconstructing the hero's journey. And as you said, that's why the story doesn't resonate. That's why it didn't work. That's why the plot didn't grip people. I mean, it takes a whole break. I mean, the story literally just. Is Mike in arguing for the Last Jedi here?
Mike is in deep for Luke's arc.
You like Luke becoming sort of the wimpy, nihilistic.
Well, I'm saying that that as a character who lost due to his own mistakes, everything he'd ever tried to build up his entire life, that broke him. And I understand that because grief does bizarre things to people. And then him coming back from that brokenness to be the legend at the end who he does the classic, stand up against the entire horde thing, like at the end of My Name is Nobody, right? You got to stand up. You got to go against the whole wild bunch, right? And he stands up there and stops the entire First Order army. I just thought that was a great arc.
Well, he didn't though. He didn't though. It was like a mirror trick. He didn't make the journey out there. He couldn't even be bothered to leave the planet, and he didn't have anything on the line at the end other than for whatever reason, he had to die on a planet far away because this projection, I guess. But no, he didn't go out there. He didn't fight anybody. There was no real sword fight. It was all an illusion.
Yeah, but he saved his friends and his sister.
Brother.
Well, I can understand the appeal of a type of character who is broken down from trauma and then finds a way to rally in the end. I can understand that, but I don't think that they actually developed that well enough with Luke's character. I mean, you've got a character here who, against all odds, shown the highest beacon of hope to save Vader. You know, in the face of everything he did, he was still going to find some good in him. And I didn't see a believable plot or story or character progression to take that character and try to kill his nephew, and to take that character who, you know, that just didn't. I didn't see that developed.
I agree. That's fair. I'm looking at the broader scope of just the events that we have, and I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm acquainted with grief, and I know that it can change people, and just
absolutely, yeah. And those are powerful stories when they're told correctly. Absolutely.
When they're told correctly. That's a problem. Raven,
I'm glad Professor Geek came in here.
Raven and I reviewed those. Luke saw good in Dad. Why not Ben for a dream?
So
Because Ryan Johnson wrote this crap.
So what would happen? What would happen if they just said, you know what, The Last Jedi didn't happen? It didn't happen. We're gonna retell
like that. The last episode, or the first episode of the season of Dallas after the Who Shot JR Dallas season.
Yeah, I mean, what would just happen if they said, you know what, we didn't get it right. We didn't get it right. We're gonna do it again.
I think they'd have to set the entire thing up to where, like I said, everything was actually a twist. Snoke is still alive, and Luke is going to have to do like Dark Plagueis and rematerialize himself, or whatever they were alluding to in the prequels. And I mean, well, clearly Leia's going to have to die now. I mean, everybody's just dying. There's not a whole lot they can do other than say that the entire second movie was all set up to be one big twist surprise for the third.
Yeah, they would never do this, but this would play into kind of what you're saying, Mike, about Luke's arc. But I would love for the episode 9 to start with him exiting the cave of on Dagobah there. He just had this vision of the possible future. And this is the future that was going to take place should he follow the dark path and give in to his weakness and trauma and all of that. And now he's got to set upon the right path. I think that would be the way to go. I don't think he'll actually do that, but I'd be very happy with that idea, that Last Jedi was all a Force vision kind of thing.
What did they do that in?
Mike, you've got a $5 super chat from Bagel Goose.
Hi, Cecil.
I disagree with you about The Last Jedi, Mike, but I respect your differing opinion. Thank you. James S. for $4.99. Mike, you're not at all wrong about Luke's reaction to events, but those events made no sense and were way out of character for Luke. Yeah.
Well, so let's ask the chat. Let's ask the chat.
Like I'm saying, that's what I'm saying is that, yes, I agree with that. But taking that aside, I was dealing with the story arc as it was given to us, not as I would have preferred it had been written.
Well, Chant, tell me. And so, like, this has been a problem that they've had, like, with the James Bond movies, right? Because now we've had almost 50 years of James Bond movies, and they've had to get different actors. Would you rather see more Star Wars movies with the same characters but different actors, or would you rather see a transition to these new characters who have nothing to do with the old characters? Because right now there is no connection, right? Everything has been severed.
You mean kind of like a Star Wars The Next Generation type deal?
Yeah.
I think the new characters, Rey and Finn, and Poe Dameron, I think they can all still work. I think there is a way to save it, and it could turn out really good, but they're going to have to work really hard. And sorry, you might have to hire 10 brainstormers in a room on your $1 billion budget to get it freaking right. but you have all the money in the world to do it, and you have every reason to get it right. So whatever kind of twist, whatever kind of plot devices you need to put in to make this third movie work, you can do it, and you can save everything, and you can maybe even bring Luke back, or make him to where whatever his final appearance is rewarding for the audience. You can do it, but you have to put in the work, and you have to do it from a place of love, not a place of we're going to try to piss everybody off with our earliest previews, and that's going to get good word of mouth because everyone got pissed off. No, you have to do it. You have to work hard to impress people and make everybody feel inspired by the next set of trailers, to where you're feeling hope again for Star Wars and Luke Skywalker and the Skywalker bloodline, or the Kenobi bloodline, whatever it is you're going to have to put in there. And yeah, you're going to have to work for it. But you can do it. Rey isn't the worst character in the world. Finn's not the worst character in the world, and Poe Dameron is not the worst character in the world. They can all work, and they're all just, they're kind of just, you get a third of the movie, you get a third of the movie, and it's like, oh, come on. Put them all in the same spot. Make them the team, not just they were in the first movie, now we're going to spread them all out for the second. No, make them the team. Han, Luke, Leia, they were the team. Chewie, C-3PO, R2-D2, they were all the team. So that's your team. Get them all together and make them all work together as a team and inspire people, not by pushing some kind of weirdo feminist agenda with purple-haired ladies telling Poe Dameron how to win a battle weirdly. And yeah, you got to put in the work though. And I don't care what Mike says about not having enough time. There's plenty of time when you're dealing with billion-dollar franchises to get everybody in a room and put your brains together and put in some creative plot devices to make this whole thing come together.
Yeah.
I don't see it as rocket science at all. I see it as, you make, whatever, 3 arcs, and you make them all hit home. You make them all rewarding. And, I mean, you're dividing up a, 2.5 hour finale for this thing.
All right, hold on a second. Sketch Therapy, $10. Blacklist Universe, please let me in. I am Comics Gate, but I come from Last Jedi. It's the Star Wars gate that lets me see all the gates. I promise I'll be cool, not hot. I would sketch, but it's already 12:02, and I was about to wrap this up because I got church in the morning. So maybe next time, I might just stop bringing up Star Wars as a subject.
No, this is great subject matter. I like that. I like that you like the Luke arc. We can go on this forever.
Is Mike Miller Jar Jar Binks in this equation?
Yeah, you're our judge, Mike.
All right, John Malin, why don't you give out your info so people know where to follow you?
I'm at John Malin on Twitter. I have a YouTube channel. You can just search John Malin. It's the one with 1,400 followers. And I have a Patreon. It's Mortal Enemy.
And Professor Geek?
Yes, you can find my YouTube channel. It's Professor Geek is the title. Just do a search. You'll be the first one to pop up there. And you can find me on Twitter at Michael Kreitzer. And I'm glad I was able to jump in the last few minutes of this one.
Right on. Thanks for getting here. Edwin?
Yeah, you can find me here, or you can search for Edwin Boyette on Twitter, or occasionally on my own YouTube.
And I am, of course, Mike Miller. You're here on my channel. If you're not already, please subscribe, even if you disagree with me on Star Wars. We don't talk about it that much. So. I am Abacus Mike on Twitter. And my Indiegogo is in the description, LONESTARcomic.com. It is available for the next few weeks. And with that, Edwin, would you like to do your nightly benediction?
Yeah. And so my benediction tonight is actually partially directed at Peter Samedi. Right? In the attacks he's been suffering this week. And so just keep it in mind as we fight these fights and we resist these people who are trying to take the good things out of the world. to have compassion for people, right? Have as much compassion as you can for people, as much kindness as you can, and much respect as you can afford for people, because nobody's going to do it for ourselves, right? Nobody's going to do it for us. If we want the world to be a better place, we're going to have to be better people. And part of that is by an increased amount of kindness, respect, and compassion, and choosing to be the best versions of ourselves, so that wherever we stand, our corner of the world is a better place because we are there. And until we meet again, I wish you a good night and aloha.
Aloha, everybody. Lone Star
Aloha.
Squadron dismissed.